Hi friends, welcome back. Today's video is really special. It's actually my first collaboration with another artist. Emily LeMoine is a pet portrait artist and an illustrator from Vancouver, British Columbia. And I've been following her work on Instagram for some time now and just gushing over her amazing pet portraits. And I'm so excited to share her work with you today. We are doing a paint off. So we're both painting from the same photo. And this is a great opportunity for you guys to see just how amazing watercolor can be and how different the style can be. And it also reveals that you really do have options when it comes to techniques with watercolor for pets. So I finally gathered the courage to ask Emily to do a collab with me, and I've invited her to a Zoom call today. So here she is. Hi! So nice to meet you. Thank you so much for collaborating with me on this project. I'm really excited to show our audience just two completely different styles of watercolor. So first of all, Emily is an amazing pet portrait artist from Vancouver, British Columbia. And I'm just so excited to have her here and for my audience to meet you. Welcome. Before we do the big reveal, so I want you all to just stay online and watch because we're going to show our two portraits side by side. What we did was we painted the same picture, the same photograph, and we have very different styles, as you guys are going to see. But yeah, I can't wait to show you guys what we did. I haven't seen Emily's painting yet, and she hasn't seen mine, so it's going to be a really fun surprise. Well, first of all, tell us a little about yourself. So how long have you been painting with watercolor?
Watercolor has been my primary medium since I can remember. I started when I was 7. My mom put me in a little backyard class where I learned the basics, and I owe everything to that teacher. Her name was Donna. She's amazing. So I took those for a couple summers, and from there I ended up going to a fine arts high school. So there was some dabbling in watercolor, but mostly just at home. And then I ended up going to Emily University, which I kind of further explored that.
Wow.
Always been on the back burner for me, like just stuff that I did at home. I never really thought of it as a career option for myself until about, I'd say 4 years ago. I started doing it kind of more consistently. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of evolved from there, but it's been my primary go-to medium. I mean, I've dabbled in oils and things, but nothing has ever stuck the way watercolor has. So it's kind of...
I'm so curious, what is it that you love about watercolor? What's the draw?
It's so... Watercolor is unforgiving, which you probably know. It's like one of those things where you have to just kind of have faith in it. And I don't know, I've just always felt a connection to it. It's just so soft, and I don't know, the look of it, it's just, I don't know. I haven't
amazing.
With anything else the same way.
I'm going to show you guys some of these beautiful paintings that Emily has done. So check these out. They're absolutely gorgeous. I have been oohing and awing over Emily's paintings for a couple of years now because every time I see them, they just make me smile. They just really capture the personality of these animals, and they're just darling. So how many pet portraits would you say you've done over the years?
Oh gosh, I've definitely lost count, but if I had to ballpark, I think I did a count recently, actually, with the past couple of years. It's in the hundreds.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
A lot of dogs, a lot of cats. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it mostly dogs? Would you say?
It's definitely, I'd say, probably 85-15. There's not cats. I don't like cats. I love cats, but
yeah. I end up painting more dogs too, for sure. I'm not sure why that is. So tell me a little bit about your fur baby.
Augie, do you want to make your video debut? Come here.
Oh.
This is Augie.
Oh my goodness, he's so cute. And how many times have you painted Augie?
Truthfully, only twice. I found him painting to paint for some reason because I know him, I guess. But
oh yeah, and that fur too, the gray and white and the long fur is really challenging.
It is.
Just a couple questions about how you work with your clients. Do you usually work from your own photos, or do you have them send photos from their own collection?
I definitely, it's all custom and all one-on-one basis. So people will send me their reference photos of their dogs.
Okay.
So I usually work from 3 to 4 pictures, just depending on the quality of them. But yeah, it's very, very much their dog. I always say I'm not painting a border collie, I'm painting your border collie. So it's
oh, yeah.
all animals have their own personalities and everything. So it's very
for sure. What are some challenges of painting from other people's photos or just painting pets in general?
I would say that the majority of the challenges that come from that are the quality of reference photos. So
Yeah.
it's all in the lighting because I never get to meet the pets, or mostly never get to meet the pets personally. It's like
Mm-hmm.
very crucial. We have natural lighting so that you can see like accurate coat color and the features. I get a lot of people sending like old photos because I do a lot of pet portraits that are from pets that have passed away. So you can't necessarily take new
Oh, yeah.
photos. You're kind of working with what you have, which is doable, but it does make it more of a challenge. But I've never said no to a challenge. So
Good for you. That's why you're succeeding. That's so awesome. What do you love about painting portraits or pet portraits in particular?
I would say the best part of what I do is the reactions from people. Like
Oh,
I said, like you get like a lot of people whose pets have passed, and like being able to kind of help them commemorate or create something that they can like look back on that's personal and unique. It's just so rewarding. Like I just feel
hmm.
like a little part of something like nice that they
Oh,
get to look back on.
that's awesome. 4 years, you said, in business, really.
Yeah, I mean, like off and on, I would say I kind of went all in probably about a year and a half, 2 years ago, but like
Wow.
build, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So, a lot of my audience are really interested in painting pets. They're really interested in painting dogs in particular, whether it's their own dogs or as a gift for someone.
Yeah.
And for anyone who might be interested in turning this into a business, what would be some advice you might have?
I would say I mean, it's all just in practicing. Like, I
Mm.
can't, like, a lot of people say, like, oh, talent is definitely part of it, but practice, practice, practice. Like, I've been doing this for close to 25 years now, which is crazy. Like, this is a lot of like practice and create like a repertoire of things that you love to paint. Like, make sure that your heart's in it, and just have examples and just kind of put yourself out there. Like,
Very cool. Oh,
post what you love to do, what you love to paint, and it'll come back to you.
couldn't have said it better. That's so good. Thank you. So, we're going to do our big reveal now. But before we do that, wait 1 minute. We're going to show you the reference photo that we used. So this is Duke. I'm going to put that on the screen here. This is Duke. He's a Great Pyrenees, and he actually hails from a ranch called Sycamore Tree Ranch, and they are a rescue ranch. So we actually collaborated with this ranch. They have their own photographer. Guys, go follow them on Instagram if you want your feed to be filled with adorable animals. So Duke is one of their guardians, they call him, and he helps protect the sheep and the animals on the farm, and he's just a favorite. So we decided on this picture of Duke because he's just so sweet, and I love his expression here. He's always got his ears way back, which is so cute. Are you ready? Do you have your painting?
Two.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Ah,
Ah!
oh, it looks so good.
Oh my gosh, he looks amazing.
Both with like a bluish background. And, like,
Yes.
that's interesting.
I
Yeah.
love your halo effect.
Oh,
That is
great.
so gorgeous. The soft diffused background. We'll show them side by side. So we both took
Yeah.
scans of them. Now, but tell me a little bit about your backing.
Oh, yeah. So this is something that's kind of new for me, is mounting watercolor paper to cradle board. So cradle
Oh,
board is just like basically what you'd find behind a canvas. So it's like a wooden board without the canvas on top. So you're able to put the painting on.
oh, he looks amazing.
Yeah,
That.
great, like alternative to like traditional framing. So he's just like ready to
Right.
go from there.
This is just 140-pound cold pressed paper, guys.
Yeah, I think it came out really nice. Yours is so
Yeah.
good.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I want to see if there's any similarities. What are the differences? Obviously, working from the same photo, I think we
Yeah,
were both
crazy.
really interested in capturing those eyes,
Right.
those beautiful brown eyes.
I love
And
your,
of course, this little marking on the nose.
that was my favorite part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, so the next part of this video, we're going to show you something special. I asked Emily to share 5 techniques that she used to put into this portrait, and I'm going to do the same. So we're both going to kind of talk in parallel about our process. I'm so excited to share with you guys just how she created this portrait. So what's awesome about this is that you guys can see both of these, I think, really captured Duke's personality, but very, very different styles. And so
Yeah.
it's so cool to see just what watercolor is capable of. Also, that should comfort you if you're a brand new watercolor artist, because there's no style that's right, okay? There's no technique that's right. Everybody has the opportunity to make it their own and explore the medium and practice, like Emily said, and make it their own and make it something completely unique and beautiful.
For every pet portrait, I use roughly the same materials, which include watercolor tube paint, which I've prearranged my palette and can re-engage by adding water each time I sit down to paint. I have a collection of mostly round brushes, with my go-tos being a size 2 and a size 6, but I do also use a large flatter brush to block in larger areas like the background. In the beginning, I like to use the wet on wet technique to get those preliminary layers down. What that means is I'll use my largest brush to wet down the surface of my paper and drop the pigment in, moving it around to where I'd like it to go using more clean water. Watercolor is all about layering, so these initial layers will be light and create a baseline for the layers following it. While that dries, I'll start doing a similar wet on wet step to the dog himself. Here I'll do the first layers on the facial features, looking back and forth at the reference photo and blocking in the lighter tones I see. This stage usually looks pretty flat, but don't worry, watercolor is all about trusting the process. I love to paint the facial features in detail pretty early on in the painting. The eyes in particular hold so much of the pet's personality within them, and it's so important to get that just right. Doing this first also somehow helps me connect with the portrait, and I find it gets a better overall result if I've invested some real emotion in there. My absolute favorite tool these days is Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed-proof white ink. It is workable with water, but quite opaque at its purest, which makes it a great tool to use for areas like whiskers, highlights, or the whites of the eyes. I use a lot of the same colors in my work, however that doesn't usually include black. As you can see, in Duke's nose, for example, there is a mix of blues, purples, pinks, and even some brown. Drawing out those colors is key in creating the depth. When I need to get even darker, I'll go for a Payne's Gray, which is a blue tone, darker pigment that I use to build values. Once the features are complete, I'll move on to building the values in the rest of the dog's coat. Duke has long, soft fur, so I kept my brush strokes long as well. Because I want to keep the focus on his face, I'm not going into too much refined detail in this area, just simply relying on the color values to create the shadows and distinction as opposed to painting every tiny little fur. Once I'm happy with my layering overall, I'll take one last pass with my detail brush and tighten any areas I need to, like sharpening edges or adding more white detailing. For Duke's portrait, I opted to mount him on cradleboard, which is a great way to showcase your work and a nice alternative to traditional framing. It's an easy overnight process which involves adhering the paper to the board using a layer of gesso. Once that's dry, you can polish it off with a sealant or varnish and it's safe to hang.
So just like Emily did, I decided to start my painting with the background. This really helps set the stage for the whole painting, establish some color and value, and create the outline for the dog's portrait. When I paint backgrounds for pet portraits, I also use the wet and wet technique. I extend the water even beyond my pencil marks inside of the fur. What this does is it encourages the paint to spread and soften, creating effortless soft edges and the effect of fur without having to paint every short little individual strand. I wet the area inside of the dog to get down some really quick colors. It's really important with white fur to use subtle tinted washes and to be really careful not to go too dark too soon. I use a combination of warm, which are more yellowish tones, and cool or more bluish tones to add a variety of colors within the white fur. Painting the detailed eyes, nose, and mouth definitely takes the most time in this portrait. Something I noticed about Emily's method that's different from mine is that she takes a very careful, layered approach to every single element in her painting. She uses very small brushes and applies many transparent layers. I think the look of this is just so beautiful and complex, and it's something I could definitely learn from. But maybe it's because I have 2 small kids and I've had to learn to paint really fast, but I tend to approach the details very directly, sometimes even in just a single layer. For the eyes, I start with the black rims, painting them immediately at their darkest value, and then fill in the brown part of the eyes using only a couple pure colors applied side by side with minimal layering. My approach with the nose is similar. I like to start with the darkest values. This really helps me assess my midtones and highlights just with more clarity and a better point of comparison. Once the facial features are complete, I add more washes of warm and cool colors to the face, ears, and neck. Because areas of the portrait that are further away from the eyes and nose are not the focal point, I like to use quicker, broader, more expressive brush strokes. The fur is also longer here, which means my brush strokes need to match that. Now, Emily is actually the artist who first introduced me to bleed-proof white, that marvelous opaque white watercolor paint. However, for this portrait, Duke's whiskers were so wispy and fine that I thought I would try a different approach for these final tiny white details. I actually used a white, very thin colored pencil to draw on the whiskers, trying to complete each whisker in a single curved motion. I added a few more little white marks all around the muzzle, but was pretty minimal with those little details. Most of the white in my portrait was from the white of the paper. Wow, Emily, thank you so much for sharing your talents, your techniques, your hard work. It's so clear, just all the practice and time that has gone into this portrait. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Well, thank you for having me. I was so happy to do it.
Such a pleasure. Hopefully we'll have you back on.
Amazing.
Give Emily some love in the comments below, and please go follow her right now on Instagram. I'll leave a link in the description below. You can follow Emily on Instagram. She also has a website if you want to commission her for a pet portrait. Really quick, Sycamore Tree Ranch is an animal rescue, a nonprofit sanctuary for animals who've been rescued from the kill pen. They give these animals a wonderful home. If you guys have a heart for animals and would like to help them out, I'll leave a link in the description so that you can donate right now. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.